Changes are coming to Facebook and Instagram's fact-checking. CEO Mark Zuckerberg says that they will use the model made popular by the social media giant formerly known as Twitter.
First, we're going to get rid of fact-checkers and replace them with community notes similar to X, starting in the US. We tried in good faith to address those concerns without becoming the arbiters of truth. But the fact-checkers have just been too politically biased and have destroyed more trust than they've created, especially in the US.
The company also plans to allow more speech by lifting some restrictions on topics considered to be part of the mainstream. Zuckerberg acknowledged that the changes are partially due to Donald Trump's election victory, which he categorized as, quote, a cultural tipping point toward once again prioritizing speech. And joining us now to discuss this is Daniel Cochran from the Heritage Foundation. Daniel, great to be with you today. In his announcement, Zuckerberg said that the fact checkers have been too politically biased and eroded trust. In what ways has there been bias before?
We saw it over and over again, especially during COVID-19. Facebook and other big tech companies colluded with the U.S. government to censor skeptics of draconian lockdowns and the efficacy of vaccines. And part of that were the independent fact-checking organizations who were labeling the ideas like the theory that COVID originated in Wuhan, China as misinformation. A lot of these fact checkers were behind the censorship of Facebook and other big tech platforms. So I think this is a step in the right direction, but again, the devil's in the details.
Yeah, and Meta will now use the user-generated community notes. Tell us exactly how will that work?
Well, that's why I say devil's in the details. Mark Zuckerberg didn't provide a lot of specificity as to what that would look like. And I do think that the announcement, his timing for the announcement is kind of obviously to placate President Trump and incoming Republicans and avoid scrutiny for the fact that his company has had a really terrible track record of censoring Americans for the last 4 years. So now that President Trump is coming into office, Mark Zuckerberg is changing his tune, but he's done this before. In 2019, he said he was going to stand up for free speech. The next year, his company censored the Hunter Biden laptop story. In 2022, right as Republicans were poised to retake Congress, he went on Joe Rogan's podcast and said, yeah, we did do some stuff around COVID that I kind of regret. Didn't really say a whole lot until this last August. And then he said to the House Judiciary Committee, yeah, we did collude with the government. And I regret that. So I think, again, the shape-shifting and the timing of this politicized announcement, I think is questionable, and we should remain skeptical until we have laws in the books to protect Americans from the overreach of these platforms.
Yeah, and Daniel, how do you think this could potentially affect, say, pro-lifers?
Well, I mean, I think it's hard to tell. I think some of these companies, for the short term, they're probably going to be on better behavior because they know they're being watched and scrutinized. But the problem is that we saw during President Trump's last term that in fact these companies went into overdrive to censor American views. We're seeing this with Google now. Google's promoting stories that are damaging to President Trump's nominees. It's notorious for downranking conservative news content, and there's really no reason to believe, I think, in the long term, that the companies have really changed. It's more that they've restructured they've changed their messaging, and they've made some kind of top level cosmetic changes to make it look like they care about free speech. But they're still the same powerful platforms, and we need Congress and the next administration to hold them accountable.
I'm going to leave it right there. Daniel, thank you so much for coming on for your insights. We appreciate it.
Thank you.